Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today's guest is one of our authors, and he's releasing the second book in his series, and it's a scary book. I have to tell you, pretty scary, but we will get to that in a moment. Before we move ahead here, I want to remind you that we have an event coming up this Friday, How to Get Speaking Gigs Now with Lisa Reed. And you can sign up for that at bamagtraining.com, bamagtraining.com. And if you're looking to figure out how do I get booked for more speaking gigs, this may be the event that you, or the training that you want to show up for. And remember, all of our trainings are free and you get to ask questions, which I think is a little frustrating sometimes when you look at recorded trainings. So today's guest is Dr. Chase Cunningham, and he's a retired Navy chief cryptologist with more than 20 years experience in cyber warfare, gained directly from the realm of cyber operations. Dr. Cunningham worked in various operations by being on pose, doing cyber forensics, analytics, and offensive, defensive cyber operations within the NSA, FBI, and other government agencies. He has authored a variety of books, all on cybersecurity and cyber warfare, and hosts the Dr. Zero Trust podcast, founded demforce.com, and is regularly consulted on matters of national cyber security. Dr. Cunningham has an extensive background that provides him with unique and deep insight into all facets of cybersecurity at both the national and personal levels. And this is actually his second fiction novel. If you read the first one, gAbrIel, you're probably pretty freaked out by the plane brought down by the drones, but it only gets worse in this new one, vARIable. So stay tuned to hear about this book. Chase, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for round two here.
I know. This is really exciting. So your first book, gAbrIel, was a real shocker, like the opening and the plane coming down, and I was just blown away. Tell us a little bit about gAbrIel and why you wrote the series.
Well, I think that the interesting thing is this whole AI space continues to evolve, and it's going even faster, and mankind, honestly, is kind of rocketing down towards the path of uncharted territory. And for me, I was like, well, number one, anyone that writes fiction, you should have a trilogy, in my opinion. So I had to go for two more books. And then it just is, there's been so much more development in the space that I just kind of said, I think I can turn some of this into a pretty cool topic. And I happen to be, I guess you call it, uniquely qualified to write about this stuff.
Yes. And I remember you were talking about it. Your first book was in 2021, which we weren't, incessantly chattering about AI like we are today. It was sort of hey, where is it? What are we doing? I don't think people really understood. And you actually showed me a video that I was like, oh my gosh, that's a training video. Help us.
Yeah. Well, nobody was talking about using drones as weapons either, but now we see what's going on in Ukraine. So, I mean, I guess my demented mind was ahead of the curve a little bit.
Well, I mean, look at what you did for so many years. That's your job, is to be way, way ahead of the curve for our protection too. So the new book, vARIable, so this weaves the Chinese American military tech narratives. What inspired this clash of the superpowers, and how does it reflect the modern anxiety we're all feeling right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's kind of underground saber rattling that's constantly going on, and we have a new administration in place. China is working its way to become the global superpower, and they're doing it via innovative approaches to the problem. So for me, I was like, how can I sort of weave together a fictional narrative that's based in reality, where everything is actually technically possible, and then, oh, by the way, also throw in, potentially global conflict, and just see where it goes from there. So in this one, I was really trying to start it off with, the CCP doing things that are problematic, and then it goes sideways from there, and it just it turned into a pretty good narrative, I think.
Yeah. And it's funny, we are learning almost daily. We look at the things we hear China doing, but I think we're learning almost daily with this new transparency that we're not so clean either.
Oh, no, everybody's got their fingers in dirty pies somewhere, for sure.
Yeah. So, very eye-opening. So, General Wang's, did I even say that? Zhang Wei. Is that how you say that?
Zhang Wei.
Do
Yeah.
you speak
Yeah.
Chinese?
No.
Okay. His arc involves betrayal and disillusionment. How did you balance the personal strugglers with the larger political stakes?
Yeah, so I think one comment I got from folks that read my last book was they kind of liked the character development side of stuff that I wrote. And when I was writing about these high level leaders, especially those in the CCP and whatever, it was just kind of natural for me to talk about how things don't work out the way that you want. And if you really I've been in the military, I've been in the intelligence community, so I've seen how people deal with the loss that they typically find, whether it's family or deployments or jobs or whatever. So that was one of those ones of, this guy who is a general, he's running stuff. The government, the CCP takes everything away from him. And if there's ever a spot where it's time to, kind of flip the script, most people go bad when their family and their livelihood and their reason for existing is taken. And this guy just happens to be in a very special spot to do some very malicious things.
Wow. And not so far off, didn't we see, I think it was Jack Ma disappeared from the face of the earth a couple of years ago. So
Yeah, I mean, you hear these stories all the time about people in that part of the world where they do something that the party's not happy with, and then they just disappear. So it's an interesting play on things that, I mean, in the United States, you have to do something hopefully pretty bad to go to jail or disappear. Over there, you just piss off the wrong person and things can get bad quick.
yeah. Do people disappear here? Are you telling me something I don't know?
I mean, I'm not saying they don't.
Okay. A little bit of good information there, guys. Be careful what you say. The Gobi Desert's beautiful end of the world contrasts sharply with Blackwater's gritty training sites. How do you temper that balance between the isolation and the warfare? Is that something you guys deal with all the time?
Yeah, I mean, for folks that have deployed, we've been places and you've seen stuff where you'll be in Djibouti, Africa, and Djibouti, Africa is just dirt and rocks and sand and heat, and then you go transfer to some other place for another deployment, and it's lush and green and beautiful, and the next one you're out in the ocean and it's just blue. So it's a really interesting personal dynamic for people to experience of just the transition between those spaces. And in my mind, everything that I wrote about is places I've been or pictures in my head that I've seen from, deployments and places I've put my feet on the ground. So that was, I can close my eyes and see it in my mind. And then I just kind of wrote it.
Wow, that's cool. When I used to write fiction, I would actually go take pictures of places and put them on the wall because I don't have that visualization skill you have, obviously. But it was a tool to get the job done. That's really
works.
That's really cool. So gAbrIel, you guys all need to grab that first book, evolves from an NSA tool, basically, that's kind of, they thought it was dead, it's gone rogue, and it's threatening all the global banks. Is that a real, could that happen?
I mean, the issue that we're facing currently, like if you read the news about DeepSeek that just recently came out, was a Chinese AI program that the Chinese released to the world, and people have installed it on their computers, inside of government systems, inside of banking.
Oh.
We don't know the back door of that particular program. So people have given this potential AI system access to everything because it does cool stuff. And it is literally a program written by members of the CCP. So we don't know. And the reality of the matter is, everything in digital space does stuff because it's told, and that's what computers do. If you have a command control authority or a program that can execute, it can do a lot of really crazy things. And we are close. I think I read an article this week, actually, about there's already been a few AI-related programs that have started self-replicating. So, I mean, we are teetering on the edge of an intelligence that we're not prepared to deal with.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. So, off topic here, but TikTok. I've never gotten on TikTok because I've heard it's a Chinese psyop.
It's a Chinese propaganda engine is all it is.
I smack not literally, but I verbally smack my kids around, like, quit sending me TikTok stuff and get off there, but they don't. It's too much fun. So can you explain real quickly for those of you who don't know, what is the whole deal between if you separate their technology from the site, it's worthless? What is that all about?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to actually what makes TikTok. I mean, it's just Facebook plus Twitter with a bunch of algorithmic sort of shenanigans going on. As far as the technology side of it behind it, it's pretty simplistic. The truth of the matter is that if you look at the use of TikTok in China, like mainland China, they use it for education. They only use it certain hours of the day. You have to be a certain person with a certain access to get it. They're doing it because it does benefit as far as online learning and training. In the US, they gave it to us to be free and used for whatever because they know that we're going to put a bunch of dumb stuff on it and people are going to make themselves idiots because they're playing with things 24/7. And that's literally the game. And you're starting to see that play out in the US in real time. And that's what I'm trying to also work into this whole series of books is the CCP and other nations, they play at a 50-year stretch. In the US, we're lucky if we can get through one election cycle without calamity.
No, 50 minutes. We have no attention span, I guess. Maybe Pfizer needs to come in and give us all drugs. So, and in both books, you have Violen McFerrin, and she sort of defies the stereotype we have of, special ops and people like that. How did you develop her background as a mechanic and an athlete to shape her resilience in this, male-dominated field? And I remember you told me before, like, you really feel that women have better sort of intuition around this as well.
Oh, yeah. I think women are great in the intelligence space. I think they're great in cyber. I think we need more of them. My own daughters, I want to push them into that space. But for what a lot of people don't realize is you've got special warfare operators, which are Rangers and SEALs and those cats and do those things. But they are always supported by other people that do very similar work. And a lot of times those are ladies. They are the fairer sex. And they're there because they're really good at what they do. And they are just as proficient at firearms and physical training in a lot of ways as those folks are. So it's one of those ones of also trying to just make people aware that, you see the guys in the camis and their nods doing their stuff at night, whatever else. There are people that are with them doing the ops that are just as capable and just as dangerous, but they are not maybe, some big muscled up dude. It could be a lady with a 9mm or a lady with an AK-47. I mean, there are a lot of really, really great females and women in the space that do really good stuff, and they need some credit. So if I can shed a little bit of light on it, because I've seen them and been with them, I will.
Yeah, and this really highlights the importance of STEM for women as well, because like I don't have math skills. I probably couldn't be a cybersecurity anything.
Well, I mean, STEM is super important, and that's one thing too that I'm trying to get maybe through some of this narrative is we in cyber are notoriously kind of a closed community, and it's problematic because we can't hire people to do the work. The way we fix that problem is to open up and bring in people from different backgrounds. So, I think we should bring in folks that are, people that serve at restaurants, people that worked in mathematics, people that drove trucks, whatever. If you got a brain in your head and you can solve problems, I could care less what your gender, nationality, or background are.
Yeah, exactly. We know it's kind of like the fire thing in LA. We don't care. Just save me, please. Type of thing. But that does bring up a good point, because I have a friend who does basically what you do. And he went through the programs when he was in the Army. He had no high school education, but somebody saw potential there for that, the computer skills, that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily even needing that high.
No, most days now, I mean, between what you're doing and the tools that exist in the space, you can be someone and just have a good inquisitive mind and look for ways to solve problems with good analytic capabilities. Everything else can be either given to you, built for you, or deployed for you. So, there's ways to work through that. And to be perfectly frank, a lot of these quote AI systems, which by the way, they're not AI, they're machine learning, are available to make people where they can operate at that scale. So
really?
there's a sea change taking place. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that learn to code is, I'm just kidding.
My son right now is going through some certs for cyber and whatever else. And when he asks me a question, my first answer is, did you ask GPT? And I want my kids to understand that for their future, they need to get used to asking the bot, not asking dad.
I love that. So would you mind sharing how old your kids are, just so people know this is not like you don't have grown-up kids, do you?
22, 20, 16, and 14.
Okay. Yeah, so you're starting them very young. I love that. But I don't know what I'd do if my kids didn't come and ask mom.
Well, I mean, when they come ask me about other stuff, I'm definitely there. But when it's like, "Hey, Dad, how do I do algebra?" I go, "Did you ask the bot?"
Oh, okay. Wait a minute, does the bot cheat for them?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of cheating. For me, like I want my kids to win in life, so whatever advantage I can give them, I will.
It's kind of funny. My son took a computer science class in college and he got an A and he kept saying to me, I have no idea why I'm getting an A. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I thought that was a little weird that.
Well, there's plenty of executives that get A's that don't know what they're doing too. So,
Well, that's very true. I do agree with that. That's why I've been in corporate America for 30 years because of that. So in your book, the NSA's Men with Hill destruction mirrors real life fears about kinetic warfare in cyberspace. Did you do research or you just know this?
I was stationed at Moonwood Hill. Yeah. I lived there. Yeah, I lived there for 3 years. I hated every second of it because there's nothing out there but sheep and rain and, crappy British food. So I hated Menwith Hill and I took the opportunity to blow it up in my book.
I love it. Oh, that's really good. Okay, Mag's interrogation scenes are brutally visceral. Why was it important to depict her that way? And it sort of reminded me of In the Lioness. I actually had to turn it off in that really bad scene where they're kind of, I don't know if they're hazing, but they're beating the crap out of her. It just was really uncomfortable.
Yeah. I wanted to make that as kind of gut wrenching and visceral as I could because I as a character, she's honestly my favorite character because she's sort of the villain, but also kind of not, which is cool. And she's, a badass, which is great. But I wanted to really put it through that, she's tough and it doesn't matter what you do to her. You're just going to make her matter and she's going to find a way to get back at you. And then the other point was just breaking down the reality of, because I've been in those sort of spaces too, of how some of that interrogation stuff actually works, where people don't understand, it's not going to be an American soldier that puts their hands on you. There's other ways that this system can be leveraged for people to coerce answers when they need to be asked.
Oh, you're scaring me now. I loved the way, and I want you to explain a little bit of this. The book critiques the bureaucracy, which we're seeing a lot of right now, through figures like Hayes and Moreno. How do these affect? I mean, I'm imagining that you've had some experience with this. How does this impact your institutional views?
Yeah, I mean, if you're seeing it right now, there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse, and stovepiping, and a lack of shared cooperation between organizations that it's problematic, especially for the mission side of things. Because I remember being at Fort Meade and having target stuff we needed to do on a valid target, and we couldn't do it because we didn't have some line of paper signed by somebody in an agency that wasn't the NSA. And for me, it was always like, you mean to tell me that we're going to let this person go that we know needs to meet their maker because someone else over another agency didn't approve the authority to do the op? So it was worth it for me to point out, like, look, there's a lot of kludgy, crazy shenanigans that take place, and people give the government way too much credit to how effective they are. Like it's a mishmash of stuff that doesn't really work very well, even in the operational special forces side of things.
Mm-hmm. Do you think cutting back on that bureaucracy is going to tame that a little bit?
I think it's going to help. I think that what's interesting to me just as a taxpayer is to see the stuff where we're wasting money on stuff that's totally ridiculous for Americans. I'm all for helping people everywhere they need to go. I think America should be the leader for doing the work that we can do to help other people. And I do charity work all the time. However, it bothers the hell out of me that as a veteran, like we have veterans that can't get health care or a place to stay, but we're spending $800,000 a year on research projects to study how mountain lions run on a treadmill. Like what?
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I've seen some stuff in the last couple of weeks that's just like, are you kidding me? And I would love to know every single time I see that, who sponsored that bill? I want to know who sponsored that. I hope that's our next step.
I hope our next step is actually to do an investigation into the entire Capitol Hill group and say, how are you getting a salary from the American people of $150K a year, but you're worth $15 million?
Yes, I would love to see that too. And as I recall, right out of college, I had a job at Hughes Aircraft on the EDSG side. And I'm not understanding how those people aren't getting audited, because we used to have branches of the military come in and audit all the time. So I don't understand why they're not sitting in the NGOs the way that they sit in those corporations and audit every.
Well, and I think that the cool thing is that technology, AI, large language models, LLMs are coming for that very reason, and people are not ready for the fact that the kimono is going to get rolled open in a way that you're not prepared for.
Yes, I agree with that. You could see that just the first bill they tried to put through, they got it down to, I think, 8 pages or something like that, and AI did that and told us all about the waste. So I think that's.
I've already started putting some stuff together for book 3, where I think I'm going to run pretty rampant with some of that. So,
okay, I'll name names for you. No, I'm just kidding. There's a reason I left California. Start there. Chase, this has been fabulous. Everybody, you've got to go read this book. I will put vARIable. gAbrIel is his first one. vARIable is the second. And I will put the links down in the show notes. And these are this is not just fiction. This is fiction with people who know what they're talking about. So
yeah, it's techno fiction. It's realistic. Everything that I'm writing about is technically feasible and doable and stuff that's actually happened or is happening. So yeah.
Chase, I'm sure once I play this interview, there are going to be people reaching out for other interviews. Where can they get a hold of you?
The best place is reach out through me on LinkedIn. I'm also finishing up a website that'll be available to people. They can get all the stuff off of that. So it should be out here pretty soon, which will be drzerotrust.com. So I'm getting there.
Great. Thank you.